Do not place a trade based on what you're seeing in this video today, because trading is risky and it can cause substantial financial loss. There are so many areas you need to become good at to become a good trader. Emotional mastery, chart reading, trading systems, money and trade management. So this video is just educational only to help you become a much better trader.
People can see it by the bond yields that are plunging, and now there's, I understand, over 10 trillion in global debt that has a negative yield, if you can imagine. So every fixed income investor starved for yield is either jumping into the stock market or going on the long end of the yield curve, which is dumb. Doesn't a major risk is part of the risk factor that you're talking about? Isn't that when central banks start tightening again?
It doesn't matter what the central banks do at this point. See, when we go back to the chart analysis, charts are life. They're basically they're energies of the world, and they ultimately represent people's emotions and energies, and they create chart patterns. And these chart patterns are created in nature. And so what ends up happening, it doesn't matter what the Fed is going to do, or if they tighten or don't tighten. The bottom line is that just like in August, when you had the stock market crash, the dollar went down with it too. And then short term, you had the bonds go up. The problem is, on this next leg, if the dollar, like I did an interview with Greg Hunter a few months back, and think about this concept, right? You mentioned the word yields. But now imagine if the dollar if the stock market crashed, the dollar crashed with it like it did in August of last year, and the dollar this time drops, say, 10 to 20%. So even though you got a yield of 2%, you're going to get, if there's a 20% drop in the dollar, that would be a negative 18% yield. So how many investors in the world are going to want to hold those bonds?
Well, I think that most of us don't think about where the value of our money comes from. We don't think about how cash itself has no intrinsic value in reality, but instead derives its value from our faith in the institution that issued the currency. I bring this up because you're talking about it. Because I think Americans' faith in our government is moving towards an all-time low. I mean, should we expect, I know the dollar got hit pretty hard on Friday, should we expect the dollar's value to continue to take a hit as a result?
I believe the dollar is going to fall with the stock market very soon, here and now. And so should this happen, and I believe it will, what you're going to see is a loss in faith and confidence. See, the ultimate problem is, or the issue with currency is, it's a belief. I believe the dollars has value. I believe currency has value. So you have to believe in it, and then the governments that make it have to back it, right? And so what ends up happening is that if faith cracks, it doesn't take long for the snowball effect. And ultimately what ends up happening is that the faith cracks, the paper that it's written on becomes worth less. Now, it doesn't have to go to zero, but imagine if it lost 10, 20%, overnight or something quickly, that would be very dramatic, and it would create a ripple effect throughout the world. And that's, I see how this is probably going to play out.
Our own Federal Reserve and other central bankers have succeeded somehow in putting off this day of reckoning you talk about. I mean, this year, for example, last year has been marked by...
All right, guys. So I wanted to share that with you because I want you guys to think about some things that's been going on in the market right now, and don't take my word for it. Don't take anyone's words for it. But that was bipolar, simply saying that stock market and the dollar are going to crash together. Now that's actually what is actually happening. You can see that the start of this year, the first couple of weeks, the start of this year, we can see that we didn't get much sort of a sideways movement, but then we dropped down. But he was saying that August last year we had that big pull down, and so did the dollar. Now, bipolar saying that the market's going to crash with the dollar. Well, the dollar has been much weaker than the actual market itself. Now, the purpose of me doing this video is just to share with you, obviously, what bipolar said. It's about that, that if the market does get if the dollar keeps going the way that it's going to do, in plain point, it's going to cause just absolute havoc in the market, with the bond market, and so on and so forth. Now, guys, I want you guys to really think about what's really going on in the marketplace right now, and really sort of open your eyes to what's happening. There's so many things that's happening in the market right now. Deutsche Bank is on the verge of bankruptcy. Oh man, I could just go on and on and on and on about the warning signs and you just got to listen to them, the warning signs of what's actually going on for this. And a day of reckoning, I believe, is coming. And the reason why I say that is because if I look at, say, GLD, GLD for me is actually starting. Let me actually bring up this. Let me actually bring up another chart here. Let me bring up this chart here. It's much easier to talk about. GLD has just been taken off like a rocket, went sideways, and now it's now it's taking off again. Gold, so much funds has been funneled into gold just recently. And let me see if I can bring up. Can I bring up my? I'll see if I can bring up. Let me go to GLD, and I'll see if I can bring up the volume. I want to look at the volume. You can see that there's a lot of, especially in this last week, there's so much funds being filtered into gold. And I know this is the gold ETF, but it's going to have a good correlation there. But I'm trying to get you guys to think about the bigger picture. There's so much funds being filtered into gold right now. There's so many big players out there that are talking about what's actually, about getting into gold and the day of reckoning. Even Carl Icahn came out and said a day of reckoning is going to happen. Now, guys, I want you to think about this from a plain point of view. If there is so much just stuff happening out there right now, where if the dollar keeps going down, that's going to cause havoc. Where very, very soon there might be a default on gold and then gold skyrockets. What happens then? If that happens, then there's going to be a major default in derivative bubble. And that's going to cause the market to collapse. There are so many things happening right now that any one of these can trigger the whole... I have never seen anything like this in my entire life, guys. And so I am just looking at this and I'm saying, man, this market is in big trouble. And then I look at this here. I look at gold start to take off, and then I look at stocks like the Russell, and the Russell has just had the index Russell, and the Russell has made a vertical move. The charts are telling you guys that something big is around the corner. And I'm giving you a warning right now. If you are short gold or silver, have a second thought about that. If you're long stocks or long SPY or long anything, have a second thought about that. Because the charts and everything out there is telling you what's going on. Even President Obama said, be prepared for disaster. Japan Prime Minister said that we're on the verge of getting, or we could get a world event like Lehman Brothers. Guys, there's so many things that's happening out there in the market right now, and not only are we getting this fundamental news about what Carl Icahn or all these other billionaires are doing and stuff like that, but when you start to read the charts are telling you something big is going to happen in this market. And for you guys, I have probably maybe 20% people, maybe 20% say this Dow's going to go to 20,000. Some people calling Dow 25,000. I don't even think we're going to make new highs. That's just my opinion. But the reason why I say that is because I'm taking the whole picture into context now. You see the Russell when it has just this big vertical move. It's doing this for a reason, and then it dumps. Then it dumps hard. Something big is about to come out in the markets. It is going to be huge. Okay, so that's what you want to do. That's what you want to move forward. You want to move forward in the idea of looking at everything in a concept of that. Yes, we may get a little bit more movement on the stock market and gold and silver. I expect just to keep going up. Now, it won't go up every single day. When I say that, people say, "Oh, it didn't go up today. It was down 0.2%." Get a life. Absolutely get a life. So so that's the purpose of this video, guys, is to show you, look, gold is starting to rally huge amounts. Stock markets have just had have had a massive run in the last 2 weeks. Just look at this Russell chart, and you can see this massive, huge run from here to here. So, guys, warning, warning, warning. I'm telling you, the markets are telling you something big is about to hit the market. Whether it's the Brexit, or whether it's a natural disaster, or whether it's something else, or whether it's gold spiking and then there's going to be a default soon, the charts are telling you something big is about to hit the market. And I believe it's going to be deadly. I'm not going to BS you here. Trading is hard. Over my 10 years of trading, I've learned some amazing systems and strategies, and I've put it all in my brand new Grab the Markets by the Balls course, and I'm giving you 100% free access. This whole course is 12 videos long and almost 10 hours of the best systems and strategies that I know. Click on the image below now to get 100% free access right now.